Yeah, so it wouldn't be very technical, but basically just to re-emphasize on the points that I've mentioned earlier. So when it comes to DDoS, and in today's time, okay, it has evolved in such a pace that it is no longer something that the carriers can ignore. Or in the past, what carriers does is to leave for its customers to take care of it on their own. Because today, when one of the customers are attacked by a cyber attack or DDoS attack, chances are it doesn't only just impact the customer, because with the size of the attacks and complexity, it most likely and most oftentimes will also cause collateral damage to its customers and its neighbors, and then potentially to the entire CSP network as well. So CSPs have all these years have spent millions of dollars on CapEx solutions year and over year in response to the problem. But with the pace of the attack evolution, this strategy is no longer scalable, nor is it sustainable. Coupled with challenges in hiring and retaining suitable talents to operate such technologies, CSPs are also finding it hard to maintain service quality under the pressure of cyber attacks, the evolution of these advanced attacks. And chances are the reputation of their core offerings are taking hits as a result of such attacks that they fail to mitigate or protect their customers against. So this becomes a vicious cycle of CSPs increasing their CapEx spending, hiring and maintaining new operations teams and new manpower. And then as threat evolve beyond their capability, they find themselves subject to failures and trying to keep up, and then the whole cycle begins again. So causing them to lose dollars as well as lose opportunities in trying to address the market. So regardless of the challenge, what is clear for all CSPs today is that I mentioned earlier that transformation is critical for continued growth, okay, to protect their margins, to protect their revenue, and of course and they realize that if these threats addressed correctly, okay, and manage these threats correctly, they have the opportunity to turn this into a revenue stream, okay, to allow their business to continue to grow, and of course to capture new markets. So in most of the CSPs we talk to, they recognize that it is important that they are able to offer managed security services alongside their core offerings. They find that it is essential in order to retain key customers, okay, to make sure that the customers remains with them. And with these new added capabilities, they are now able to reach out to new customers from markets that was never possible before. So case in point, so there was a carrier that we used to help. So before they worked with the Nexusguard, so they were unable, before they brought up any MSS services, they were unable to enter the government sectors. So because government sectors contracts usually comes with cybersecurity clauses in their connectivity contracts and so on and so forth. But with the enabling of these MSS services on their network, they are now able to enter the government sector and successfully serving the customer segments, opening up new markets, and then of course eventually be able to push through other core products that including their mobile services, so on and so forth. So at the same time, okay, while addressing while acknowledging that this is a strategy that they have to adopt, they recognize that it can be very challenging and very expensive to do so. So we were talking in my conversations with analysts, and notably one of the Gartner analysts, they mentioned that in their experience, so this is a gentleman, is a CSP specialist that talks to a lot of CSPs regards to MSS services. He has shared that in his opinion and his experience, the majority of the MSS launch by telcos fail, okay, a very large percentage of fail, just because of pushbacks, and the DNA of the carriers are not suited, or rather not attuned to offering such services. There is a sales cultural, sales acceptance of new products, different kinds of selling, different kinds of supporting the customer, so on and so forth. So we've witnessed that the failure rate is really, really high. And that rounds back to why I say they realize that it's very expensive, and then it's very challenging from a lot of aspects, and we'll cover a bit of this later. So a little bit of introduction to the services that we offer. So back in a couple of years, 2017, so we took what we have been doing for the past 10 years of providing the protection services to our customers and managing managed security services. We created what we call the Nexusguard Transformation Alliance Program, or TAP for short, with the objective of simplifying the DDoS problem for all the CSPs, all the challenges that I mentioned earlier. So with the Nexusguard TAP, it not only takes care of all the future attacks that the CSP might receive, okay, to protect them from the future attacks, But at the same time, it allows the CSPs to speedily go to market with a whole new breadth of cloud and security services, all fully productized and ready to be sold and delivered for immediate ROIs to justify the cost of investment. So it was designed in totality, okay, to address the DDoS problem for CSPs as fast as within 90 days. And within that 90 days, the CSPs will find that they have a DDoS resilient network. And with this, it is fully self-funded by a brand new suite of self-branded managed security services that they can be, immediately sold to their CSPs customers. So essentially, the TAP achieves this by solving the three top issues that CSPs face when it comes to the implementation. So we go a bit into the problems that they will face. So number one, okay, the first problem that they face when they try to do this implementation or move this strategy into this MSS space is scalability and functional issues. In order to address the myriads of threats on the internet today, the CSPs find themselves having to invest in very heavily into a multitude of different technologies that might be from different vendors. Okay, this means really large capex investment just to acquire these technologies. We're talking about load balancers, application delivery controllers, servers, mitigation devices, monitoring, orchestration, SIEM, and so on and so forth. So that brings us to number two. No matter how much they spend on these technologies, okay, as I mentioned earlier, the pace of growth of these attacks is now outpacing that of these technologies. No matter how much they spend on these appliances, ultimately there will be a point where attacks are so large that it will still overwhelm whatever they have invested in, because DDoS and cyber threats are still a cloud issue, and the on-prem single approach will never be able to be fully adequate enough to address all these attacks. And then number three, last but not least, the cost of the appliance itself, I mentioned, is just only the tip of an iceberg. So having invested in capex to acquire all these technologies, the CSPs now has to come up with resources to deal with the integration of these different technologies from different vendors, orchestration, monitoring. They have to productize their service, to create individual services, the SLAs, support process, sales process, go to market to each of these individual cloud services as well as security services. And then to build and maintain a team to be able to deliver those services and support their customers at the same time, safeguarding their reputation that they have painstakingly built over the years. So all these are actually costs that translates into the challenges, this unseen cost that has usually the reasons why a lot of product launches will fail. So to address this problem, okay, on the technology aspect, so the Nexusguard Managed DDoS Mitigation Platform provides a one-box solution to address all the different threats from layer 3 to layer 7. Okay, and then because it is part of a true hybrid offering from Nexusguard, as part of our offering, the service is also backed up by our global scrubbing centers, our 16 global scrubbing centers around the world, so that in the event that the cyber attacks grows beyond a certain range, Nexusguard's infrastructure will kick in and be able to provide attacks for the largest attacks that they will ever see. So, so unlike buying an appliance, though, our TAP program does not just end at providing just an appliance. So we are much more than that. So what we have done is we've taken our experience and our know-how, okay, and then we've created an offering that not just supports the CSPs in mitigating the day-to-day attacks and the zero-day attacks that they see, but also everything from ground up that is required in delivering a complete solution to their clients. And this includes, sales, go-to-market training, productizations, support, operations training in terms of what we deliver through our what we call Nexusguard Academy, a structured training program that actually enables their security professionals right from layer 1 to tier 1 to tier 2 to tier 3, and to be able to troubleshoot and conduct very deep analysis into cyber threats and so on and so forth. And then along the entire service, they have the full partner support from our team in how to manage their customers as well as the technology aspect of it. So with this, we actually provide a solution to the major 3 problems that we actually see usually face that will cause the downfall of a product launch. So once the TAP has been successfully implemented, the CSPs will find suddenly a whole suite of services available for their clients, and they can start to immediately enjoy return on investment by selling these solutions to their customers, offering these solutions to the customers. So in terms of application services, okay, which they previously had no fit into, the CSP can now offer web security and application security services such as CDN, okay, where it's coupled with our Nexusguard Cloud. It can offer cloud-based WAF solutions for the financial institutions who are looking for PCI compliance, for example. Or naturally, they can offer DDoS protection for websites. Okay, they can offer cloud-based load balancing services. They can even also provide advanced DNS services in the sense of protected DNS offerings, and advanced DNS customization services for large enterprises as well as organizations. In terms of network services, okay, for both off-net and on-net customers, we have services that allows the CSPs to offer network monitoring services for their connectivity clients to protect their advanced customers from advanced network threats, and then also as well as the ability to offer infrastructure protection services for other network operators, including other service providers as well, by the offering of our off-net mitigation services. To sum it up, okay, and to round up back to the original question from Caroline, okay, with the Nexusguard solution, we not only help protect CSPs from advanced threats of the internet, but we also help the CSP stay relevant, open up new markets, and to grow existing ones. And all this within 90 days and a very, very low financial risk for both the CSPs as well as the stakeholders. So I think that's it for me. So I apologize if I've gone in a bit too much, but if anything, what I said can be probably summarized by this short animation that I like to show. That sums up pretty much what I have said. So allow me to share this very quick video.
Many communications service providers, CSPs, are seeking to offer value-added security services as they vie for discerning customers in a fiercely competitive marketplace. Some make costly investments in technology after technology, but have come to realize that the solution is simply too complex to manage. Their infrastructure, albeit its size, is just not designed to counter ever-growing attacks. To top it off, they find that hiring and retaining talent in this field is a mission impossible, much less to think about keeping up with the pace of innovation of competitors. The result? A mediocre service that even the internal team does not trust, let alone its customers. That's why we have built the Nexusguard Managed DDoS platform, a fully managed offering that addresses all DDoS-related challenges so that you can focus on what matters most. At Nexusguard, we make DDoS protection simple for CSPs.
Okay, so I thank you for your time. I'll pass it back to you, Caroline.
Yeah, thanks so much, Donnie. That was very insightful. I know it can seem almost too complicated undertaking for CSPs to try to ameliorate all their cybersecurity concerns. So it's good to have an overview about some of the companies like Nexusguard that are trying to streamline those processes. So that will actually be our final presentation for the morning. We're of course not done with Digital Week. We're rejoining after lunch. So Donnie, unless there's any closing thoughts from you, I think I can let you go. But thank you so much for chatting with me, and then to preparing that presentation. It was really great.
Caroline, there's a direct message I see in the chat room. There's a question that was raised by Mr. Chi.
Yeah, you have a few minutes. You can take it if you want to respond.
So the question was for enterprise customers. So this question is by Mr. Chi. So his question is, do you have a view on DDoS solutions provided by CSPs, such as Singtel, versus those provided by public cloud providers, such as AWS? So this is quite a technical question, but it's a very important question. So in the delivery of cybersecurity services, these two solutions that we have mentioned, both from a carrier implementation as well as from an AWS implementation, we call it cloud offering, are very different in terms of deployment as well as capabilities. So from a carrier perspective, typically what I have mentioned just now, basically they acquire technologies. Okay, they rely on third-party technologies, including Nexusguard, and they create a service that is, to complement their existing core offerings being connectivity. So it is a different kind of, it's two different services that is put together to offer the customers an outcome, okay?
Mhm.
And the capability of such solution would really depend on what kind of technologies that they use. So a lot of carriers, they are rather open about who they use and what they use. But this is, like I said, subjected to the challenges that I've talked about.
Mhm.
No matter what kind of third-party appliances or technologies that they adopted, will eventually be outpaced by the growth of attacks, including
Mhm.
the carriers that mentioned. So it might be good today, but as attacks continue to evolve and grow, eventually you can expect that the capabilities is not going to be able to keep up. As opposed to cloud offerings, in terms of mitigating such cyber attacks, their approach is slightly different. Because of their distributed nature, they have POPs and infrastructures around the world. They built in these cybersecurity services into their entire platform. So it's kind of like, in terms of part of their entire design. So AWS design what they call the AWS Shield and AWS Advanced Shield and so on and so forth. Those services are meant to be delivered as part of their cloud services. So these services cannot be offered to customers that are not already on AWS. So you have to, one of the prerequisites for you to enjoy that service is for you to first be a subscriber, to buy the AWS services, and to be paying a certain amount of subscription before you can enjoy those value-added services. Whereas on the Singtel for carrier perspective, any customers, it might be their off-net or their on-net customers can still enjoy those services. So in terms of capability, I would say that both has its merits, okay, but there are going to be cases whereby in terms of flexibility of the solution, in terms of the breadth of protection, is going to be limited. So say, for example, in the AWS perspective, it has to be cloud services. So they might not be able to offer services to protect network, for example. I know that AWS is moving towards bringing our own IPs, because instead of just using AWS IPs, they are now exploring the options of customers bringing on their own IPs. But this is still kind of in the very early stages. They have still a lot of challenges to overcome. But for large networks that operate their own network infrastructure, they won't be able to use services such as the one offered by AWS and have to turn to carrier providers, for example. I hope that answers your question, Mr. Tzu.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded good to me. It sounded also like you could do a whole second presentation just on the differences between those types of offerings. But yeah, I think that should wrap up our time together, Donnie. Thank you again for joining, and I hope that we can speak again soon.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.